Opardin clanfather, guys. He finally got a buff, so in today's video, I want to see what the champion can do. Honestly, I think that he is so much better than he was before, and he's actually really interesting for the Chimera. Currently, I am on the test server because I did not have the champion built. No masteries, no blessing on the champion on my account, no books, etc. So, we're gonna see what we can do with him in the Chimera. But before we dive into that, he was a fusion around 1+ year ago, or something like that. It was a while since we had him as a fusion. And yes, he was just providing healing, but nothing else really. His base stats are actually not bad. With the A1, he's gonna gain some turn meter. With the A2, he's gonna give you a massive healing, which is actually really nice because that will be helpful. The higher his HP, the higher the healing on a 3-turn cooldown. What really makes the champion special is actually the A3 and the passive. So with the A3, you're gonna cleanse, you're gonna remove the block buffs and heal reduction and a random debuff, and you're gonna place 2 continuous heal buffs and a block debuffs on all allies, which is actually really interesting. Then, of course, you're going to have the passive. Each time a continuous heal buff heals an ally, fills that ally's turn meter by 10%. If there are multiple champions in the team with this skill, of course, only one will activate. Now, this right here is the most powerful weapon that we have against the Chimera. I feel like nothing else compares with the turn meter manipulation, especially you gaining turn meter. So that means that if by any chance you're gonna have, for example, 4, 5, 6 continuous heals on your champions, they're going to get 40, 50, 60% turn meter when that activates, which is absolutely huge. Now, if you pair this champion, if you're fortunate enough to have a Sina the dwarf, you're going to get some crazy things going on. Not only that she brings you the increased speed and more turn meter and continuous heals, but she has a very similar passive, where she only gives 5% turn meter. But if you have her and Opardin together, bang, 15% turn meter per continuous heal buff activation. So that is massive. You're gonna get crazy results with them two together. We've seen teams with like 300, 400 million damage on Ultra Nightmare on the Chimera, guys, which is an astonishing result, to be honest with you guys. Of course, not having a Senna on the team is a completely different thing. Now, what I'm gonna do in today's video, guys, we're actually going to use Elva. I'm gonna try to use as many champions as possible that were either fusions, either guaranteed, either they're free champions that we get from just playing different game modes, missions, etc. Just because people that will try to go on Ultra Nightmare at these early stages are people that are playing for a very long time, right? And let's be honest, this is not easy content. This is not something that everybody can just walk in and smash the Chimera on Ultra Nightmare. So I'm trying to basically find the most accessible champions that we had available for the last few years in the game and basically see what we can do with them. The reason why I'm using Elva, one, I'm going to get a speed aura for all battles. Cleanse, increase speed, and block debuffs. I would have loved if she was going to bring in here some turn meter as well. We're going to have continuous heals with the A1. We're going to have the passive, which, by the way, even though we're getting this perfect veil, I find it extremely hard to really trigger that trial because I'm going to use enemy max HP champions, right? Then I'm going to use Ramantu, which is a champion that comes, of course, from the missions. Ramantu, with the A1, he has a chance to basically decrease the cooldown of a random skill, but only if the cooldown increase is successful. That's something that won't really work in Chimera. Basically, what he really does is defense down, weaken, decrease speed, and block buffs. Now, unfortunately, because I was wrong on this one when I was talking about him in the top 15 video, this True Fear won't go on the boss. It will only go on the other enemies that you're not actually attacking. So, unfortunately, his True Fear won't be something that we can count on in the Chimera. And the block active skills, block passive skills won't really work either in the Chimera because it will have passives. It will always try to lock the passives rather than put a block active skills on the form that we actually need to use that skill. That's about it. Now you can build him for damage, you can build him in different ways. I haven't really fully optimized the team to try and squeeze the best possible damage and stuff like that. Then I'm going to use Marius. Marius is actually a very strong champion for this fight because of his triple hitter and because he brings the increased accuracy, the increased defense, but the main thing is that he decreases the duration of buffs on the enemy. So that's a very, very important thing actually. Unfortunately, Enfeeble doesn't work on bosses, right? Quite a bit of a shame, I would say. So Marius, very strong. And we are going to use Newt, guys. Like this, we're going to get a decreased attack. We're going to get more enemy max HP. And some additional damage. Now, if I would want to maximize this team, I would probably swap a few champions around. I would try to basically get the best possible result in terms of damage. Pay attention to when I'm manualing everything. Just to use all of the skills at the right moment, etc. And most likely, I would be going with Mikage and Toshiro since I have them available, right? Probably I'm going to try that to see what sort of damage I'm going to get with that team on my account. Now, either way, let's crack on it. We're going to go straight to Ultra Nightmare, guys. So let me just quickly explain you what exactly happens. We're putting these continuous heals. Our champions will take a turn. You see the 2x turn meter. We got 20% turn meter just from it. The more continuous heals, the more turn meter. Sometimes you're going to see 3x, 4x, 5x, 6x. It really depends how many continuous heals you can actually bring on your team. Now, that is very important because that will allow you to overlap the boss and eventually go on a 2-to-1, on a 3-to-1 ratio versus the boss, which is the most important thing in this fight. It's all about taking as many turns as possible with your champions while the boss doesn't move. So, every time a character, a boss, takes a turn, a tick on the turn meter moves on the rest of the characters as well. So, us having the ability to constantly trigger those ticks on the turn meter on all of the characters when the continuous heals activate will allow us to basically anchor the boss and overlap him. So we're not actually physically going to decrease his speed with that. We're just basically anchoring him. So we're just holding him back while our characters are cutting in front with the turn meter push that we're getting from the continuous heals. That's why his passive is just so freaking powerful. For this fight is actually insane. Now, if you pair him with Senna, you're gonna get some insane amount of turn meter because you're gonna have 4 continuous heal buffs at pretty much all the time when you're using their skills, which will give you 40% turn meter only from him, 20% turn meter only from her. And that is just massive. It's a lot of turn meter. It might not seem like a lot, but this is the #1 weapon, the best weapon versus this boss. Passives like this. So I would absolutely not be surprised if we are going to see tons and tons of different champions that will be added to the game with very similar passives, because that is basically the whole magic. Now, I haven't fully optimized this team to get the craziest damage. I can definitely get some better builds, put Newt on Relentless because he does have very high multipliers, and he's still going to be able to hit the cap with defense down and weaken, or at least get close to the cap, because Marius does deal a bit more damage in here. But that's mainly because of how the multipliers are, I guess. I have Marius on a Slayer set, just wanted to kind of like try it out and see how effective it is. I have 9-piece protection on both of my support characters. I cannot stress it how important it is to have that. If you're not really loaded with protection gear, you will struggle on this boss, no matter who you are, no matter what a big kraken you are or whatever. So if you ignored Hydra for a very long time and Clash, and you stayed in a very weak clan, you are going to get punished now. I actually have Ramantu on a toxic set just to try and basically get some of the trials done on the ramp form, which, by the way, is just so freaking painful if we're comparing it with any other form that this boss has. So while we are still on a turn count 4 on the boss, I'm still dropping in some of the debuffs with my characters. I'm not necessarily using all of the skills throughout the entire fight. I'm trying to stay away from debuffing the boss when he's on turn count 5 because it's basically a waste of landing the debuffs. The boss will metamorph, cleanse, and game over, right? I do try to basically pay a bit of attention when I'm using the skills with Marius. I do need to have increased accuracy to debuff on the second form if I want to complete that trial. It is quite a bit of RNG, and that's mainly because if by any chance we're not landing all of the debuffs, if we get resisted, c'est la vie, mon ami. 3% chance will wreck you. And you can do nothing about it. And you cannot do nothing about it. So let's crack on it. We're going to take some more turns in here. We're still going to go just with the A1. Land some poisons. They are not really doing any damage or so. It's just mainly to help us here. But it's just such a hardcore form, this one. Okay, one champion down. We can revive. Then we have increased accuracy on Newt. I'm actually going to try to use this A2 first. So we need to complete this trial. Place 7 unique debuffs on the Chimera within 5 of its turns while your champions are under increased accuracy buffs. So it's not an easy thing to do, especially with this team. Okay, 2 debuffs. We still need a third one from him, which will be pretty hard. So we're going to go A1 right here. So we can buff with increased accuracy. We're going to heal. Increase accuracy. So we have it on for 3 turns. Increase speed. Don't kill nobody, boss. Come on. Brimstone. Yes, Brimstone counts as a debuff as well. So we have 3 debuffs right now. And Ramantu, don't mess me up, bro. Okay, there we go. 1 trial completed. And that's because we've used a toxic cloud. If not, I cannot complete this this trial. Now this, something that I cannot do with the team that I have. No increased crit rate, no increased crit damage. Fear through fear, I cannot do it. This is extremely hard. Damage the Chimera within 3 of its turns while it is under a decreased defense debuff. And your champions are under perfect veil. So the problem that I will have here is that I just won't do enough damage and my champions will die, right? So I can revive and do all that stuff. But unfortunately, okay, so we can go 1. So we've dealt no damage, you see? Funny enough, I'm not sure why this did not count. So we had... Oh, it's just a veil. It's not a perfect veil, actually. If I remember it correctly, Elva just gives us a veil, not a perfect veil. There we go. Issue, problem solved. Problem solved. So I feel like now, when we revive... No, it's still just a veil, okay. I wasn't sure anymore. So that's one thing that we need to kind of like be paying attention to, is when we revive, make sure we're not reviving at the wrong moment and stuff. Because if the boss is about to take a turn like it just happened, you see, my Marius just instantly died. So basically, I've wasted that revive. This is a very tough form, to be honest. And I feel like the majority of people are struggling on this form more than on any other form whatsoever. So I could go with this skill. 1 hit and Newt is going to die. So I feel like it's going to be a waste because I will need to revive again after all my team. And I don't have an AoE revive. I only have a single target revive. I can still try and debuff here, but again, it's going to be pretty irrelevant. We still have the debuffs on. We just basically want to keep that decreased speed on. So the boss is going to take a turn as well. If I'm going to revive right now, that can be another issue. Okay, so he's killing my Ramantu. That's fine. Job done. We can at least get some healing. Yeah, that increased speed. Again, I'm just going to go A1. Really no point to do anything crazy. Just hope that that smite will put in some work and get us some extra damage. Okay, decrease attack. Yeah, no point to do it. We still have it on right now. You see, even the A1 on Newt deals so much damage. So much damage. Almost feels like it's a bit too much damage, right? So the boss will metamorph right here. There's no point to debuff. What I'm going to try is to basically fully heal my team, so I'm prepared for the next round, the next form. If not, that boss can smack me as well, right? So unfortunately, I haven't been able to get enough healing in time. So most likely I'm going to lose Ramantu here. Oh, thankfully they survived. Okay. Was very likely for Ramantu to die. But that's basically how the run goes, guys. And Opardin is extremely impactful. If I would drop him out of this team just to bring in a different support, maybe an ally attack, let's just say, maybe I'm going to bring in an ally attack, maybe I'm going to try to bring in a different healer that does something else, it won't be as good. And that's because we are losing all of that turn meter. And you might not appreciate it till you actually try to do it with and without. So feel free to give it a go, and then you're going to understand exactly how impactful he is. But what I'm going to do right now, guys, I'm going to let the run play out. I'm going to show you the final result, and then we're going to talk about the builds and everything else. As you may notice on the screen, guys, we managed to get the top chest on Ultra Nightmare. As I mentioned, I haven't fully optimized the team. I don't really care so much about how much damage we got here. It's mainly just showcasing how effective Opardin can actually be. And to be honest, 131 million is not a bad score whatsoever, considering that we kind of like have the team handicapped in a way or another. We just don't have everything spot on. Like, we need more debuffs, we need to complete more trials, and having slightly better damage dealers in some cases would definitely be much better. So I would definitely most likely drop Nut from here, most likely drop Ramantu out of the picture as well, and try to do something else just to kind of like get a better score. But let me quickly show you the builds on the champions. So that's Ramantu right here. On a toxic set and perception. I tried to give him a bit of damage as well, just to kind of like get some extra numbers from him. As you probably noticed, the damage was not crazy. Accuracy very important, speed very important. Yes, Ultra Nightmare, this is not free to play. You cannot do it in 1 month. You cannot do it in 6 months, to be honest. 300 speed, 500 plus accuracy. You're going to need that. Now, my biggest handicap right here was the fact that I haven't spent tens of thousands of dollars on soul stones to actually have 6 stars on all of them. If I would have that, that would add a lot of extra damage. But I don't have I don't have that available on my champions, on most of them anyway. Masteries, guys. Helm Smasher as tier 6. To be honest, I'm wondering if a Giant Slayer or a War Master would work better than that Helm Smasher. Maybe we would get more damage, to be honest. Master Hexer, just to increase the duration of debuffs. Cycle of Magic, pretty straightforward. Blessing, I actually have Nature's Wrath on him. Not really doing a massive difference. Then we have Elva, 9-piece protection, as fast as possible. Nothing else matters. The faster she is, the better. 9-piece protection, again, is the key. You don't want the boss to constantly steal your buffs. Masteries, defense, and support. I should get in Cycle of Magic on her, to be honest. I haven't actually checked her masteries. I just chucked her in the team and took her in the fight. But yes, having a Cycle of Magic will definitely help a little bit. And that's pretty much about it. Then, Blessing on her, I have Intimidating Presence just to increase a bit her aura. Marius, 9-piece Slayer set. I don't really have a good Slayer set, unfortunately. So these are his stats. Not very high defense, not very high crit damage. Speed is decent, 276, 278 accuracy. It seems to be enough with the increased accuracy. So we are dropping the buffs on the boss. We're decreasing the duration. So that's actually great to know that around 278 plus accuracy is enough. Now I do have Cruelty as a blessing on him. This doesn't stack if you're using multiple cruelties, guys. And from what I remember, but I might be wrong on this, I don't think it stacks with Nut's skill either, which decreases the defense. I remember that they've mentioned this at some point in the past when they were talking about the Sand Devil's Necropolis. Either way, masteries on Marius. Offense, support, Helm Smasher as tier 6. These are actually the masteries that I have for Arena. So they're getting the job done. And yes, a 9-piece Slayer works pretty damn good. Like you're getting sometimes 300k additional damage per hit from the A2. So almost 1 million additional damage if it procs on every single hit. Definitely pretty strong. At least from what I've seen, it does have a chance to proc on every single hit, right? I haven't used Slayer set in ages, so correct me if I'm wrong. Opardin Clanfather, again, the same story. 9-piece protection, as much speed as possible, and as much HP as possible to gain a bigger heal from the A2. Total stats, where are we? 326 speed, 100k HP. Nothing else really matters on him, to be honest. The rest is completely irrelevant. Now, as a blessing, I have Nature's Wrath, just to... not Nature's Wrath, sorry. What is it? Nourish, just to actually have some additional heal. Some more healing from there. And these are the masteries, with War Master as tier 6, support, Lay on Hands, rapid response will be massive, Cycle of Magic, Lore of Steel, Lasting Gifts, all of this will be massive, right? And finally, we have Newt. He's on Savage and Perception. A Relentless would work much, much better on him, to be honest. And these are his total stats. More crit damage would be nice. A bit of more accuracy would be nice. More speed would be nice. You know, like I'm not asking for much here. In terms of blessings, I have a Brimstone. As you guys probably noticed, is pretty important, right? 350k per hit when it procs, and it counts as an extra debuff, which is very helpful to complete trials. And masteries, Giant Slayer. Now, most likely, if I would go on a Relentless, I would go with Helm Smasher. That will actually push a bit of damage, and I would change from Cycle of Violence to Cycle of Magic, because we're not going to do enough damage to proc this anyway, so it won't be very helpful. And yeah, most likely that's pretty much it. I wouldn't change anything else in terms of masteries on the champions. But that was all for this video, guys. Hopefully, you've seen how strong Opardin Clanfather actually is. In fact, he's not just strong. He is OP for this fight. And I'm glad that Plarium buffed him. I feel like they knew exactly what they were doing with this buff. And as I mentioned, we are going to see lots of new champions that will have very, very similar passives, guys. It's all about this magic right here. Appreciate all of you guys watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.